Keynote 2, and we will have Dr. Wasudha Neel Mani, the principal of Broadwoods International School in India, to share on the topic, Role of Instructional Leadership in Teaching Learning. For participants, if you would like to pose a question, please drop it in the Q&A box. And I will now pass the time to Dr. Neel Mani.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone from India. And I will be speaking on aesthetic education. That is my topic, and how this aesthetic education helps in all spheres of life, including the leadership as well. So when we talk about aesthetic education, so aesthetics is something that has been part of the mankind, of humanities throughout, and we find the aesthetics in the world around us, in the environment around us, and of late it has taken lot of significantly important part in the education sector also. Um, I will be sharing the presentation. If the presentation is ready, I would request to be shared, please. So, when we talk about aesthetic education, I go back to my college days where we were doing a course in special education, and one of our assignment was to visit a school where they played a lot of emphasis on aesthetics, on art and design, on performing arts through and teaching the students through that. So I still remember in one of the sessions of when we were learning how to teach our students through the medium of art and design. So my professor telling me, and it has been more than 30 years, but it has been still stayed with me, that they said that when we are asking a student to use the creativity in terms of art form, why do we bind the students to make the sky blue or parrot green or flowers red? Maybe in his own world of creativity, things are he might want to have a red sky or a different color parrot. So let's not bind students creativity, and let them flourish, let them explore what they talk about. And I was also one of the very few participants from India. I attended a dance therapy workshop when I was just 17 years old, and again that was also to teach the students through dance form. So see, when we talk about aesthetic education, it is all about, how we are inculcating these important aspects of performing arts, of theater, of dance, of art, of music, and how we do a collaborative learning, and how we do a multidisciplinary learning in the and after 30 years, I see that it has taken a lot of precedence in the form. So I will request for the presentation, please. So there is a little network issue. I think within a minute, the presentation will be there. I would like to make the session little interactive. So if we have the attendees here, so we will have the Q&A round also, but I will request the participants or the attendees, if they can share what do they understand by meaning of uh, aesthetic uh, aesthetic education, And when we talk about instructional leadership also, so I always feel that leaders of 21st century are those that who are able to learn, unlearn and relearn. They are not those who cannot read or write. And when we talk about the timeless skills of 21st century, thank you. Thank you. That's there. Can I have this second slide, please? Yes. So the we were talking about the leadership. We were talking about the leaders of 21st century. So they need to imbibe these skills, the instructional leadership, in their day-to-day lives. And I think the 21st century skills of collaboration, communication, critical thinking, creative thinking, fixed versus growth mindset. And now we say that it is not even growth mindset. It's said it's exponential mindset, metacognition skills. All these are very, very important aspects. And before I move on to the recording, move on to the my presentation, I would like to quote Alvin Toffler. He rightly said that illiterates of 21st century are not those who cannot read or write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn and relearn. So when we are talking about, when this topic came to me about of aesthetic education, so as I mentioned earlier, so I did a little bit of research. And my late father-in-law had written a book on aesthetics in education. So I took few points from there also. So when we are, as I said, that when we are exploring different art forms into inquiry based education, into project based learning, into active learning, and fostering growth mindset, so creative thinking and critical thinking, these are the parts of aesthetic education. Thank you, Miss Vidya. Absolutely right. It is incorporating visual arts, music, literature, and other creative expressions into curriculum to enhance holistic students' development. Thank you. Next slide, please. So, when we are talking about these two aspects of aesthetic education, leadership, instructional leadership, we talk about that. It is about self knowledge. It is about reinventing ourselves, upskilling ourselves, and rediscover our potential to live as educators, as leaders, as learners. And when we are talking about future, it is about probability, it is about integrative thinking, it is about collaborative intelligence, it is about critical thinking, and how we are able to nurture our learners in the same aspect. Next slide, please. So, when we talk about, and I follow this a lot in my school itself. So, when we look into a classroom of aesthetic educator, it would be engaged, and students will be involved in their learning. They will be, of course, studying in a positive and inclusive environment. They are aware and control of their emotional self. They have age appropriate knowledge about what's happening around the world. They are organic in their approach, and they are learning at their own pace. So for example, when we are doing a concept of maybe in social sciences, maybe in English, maybe in sciences, and we give some role play to our students. So when they are doing the role play, so not all students would be acting, but most of the students, somebody would be backstage, somebody would be creating the set, somebody would be creating the costume, somebody would be directing, somebody would be speaking, somebody would be narrating, somebody. So all the kind of learners are involved in this aspect, and we have actually involved all kind of art forms in teaching a concept to a child. Next, please. So when we talk about creative expression, so we know it is to, as I told, shared my anecdotal story initially, to allow the children to communicate their ideas, their imagination in their own manner. I remember my professor saying, let their clouds be green, let their grass be red, let their flowers be blue. So why we have to, just confine them to that? And then, art and design is there, music is there, dance is there, drama is there. And then what it happens is that when the creative expressions are included in the curriculum, the all the skills are brought in together, and their cognitive skills are developed. They develop into the high order thinking skills also come here, because we are allowing them to think critically, we are allowing them to have a creative approach to the whole topic. Next, please. So, here I would like to bring a very important aspect that's called the Kolb cycle of active learning. So, when we talk about cycle of active learning, a child or a learner experiences it, reflects it, has an abstract conceptualization of the thing, and then he does an active experimentation. So, let's go step by step. So, when we talk about actively involved in doing, when he's experiencing the task, so he is actively involved, he is learning about the particular topic. He's as I mentioned, the role plays, the case studies, simulations in the classroom, and from a passive chalk and talk approach to active learning, that is skill practice. So when we talk about active learning, the focus is again more on learning. Active learning means that we are using all kind of resources, all kind of our uh, multiple intelligence and everything to understand a concept. So when we talk about the reflection, so when they are doing the activity, they reflect on that. Here the trainers or the teacher's role is very, very significant, and they share the views in a very structured way. Then post that comes the abstract conceptualization, where they take a step back and they think critically in order to draw conclusions that might apply to real life. They ask the individuals, the teacher and students sit down, they discuss that, okay, how you have learned, what you have learned, how you're going to talk about it, and then putting thoughts into the action to review each other's plans. So then they create something new on their own way. Next slide, please. So, as I mentioned earlier, the Kolb cycle of active learning, it starts with concrete experience, reflective observation, abstract conceptualization, and active experimentation. So, all the kind of learners, whether they are activists, whether they are theorists, whether they are pragmatists or reflectors, all the learners are taken care of. Visual learners, auditory learners, kinesthetic learners, multimodal learners. So all of them, they are there in this journey. Next, please. So, when we use this concept of active learning, wherein they are exposed to all the kind of performing arts, all the kind of creativity they use, so it is said that, when a student is told after 3 weeks, he remembers 70%. When he's told plus shown 72%, but when he experiences this, told plus shown plus experience, so after 3 weeks, it is 85%. And after 3 months, it is staggering of 65%. So that talks a lot about the uh, this active learning aspect in the role of education. Next, please. So Gone are the days now. If we talk about the aesthetic education, if we talk about the instructional leadership also in teaching and learning, now the time is of the participative learning rather than acquisitive learning. So when we are talking about participative learning, it means that we all are sharing a platform, we are sharing our good practices, and learning is informal. It is part of a integral part of everyday activity, rather than having a lecturer coming to the class, talking about the things, and not giving importance to the socio-cultural aspect, not giving importance to the students, how they want to learn, how they want to take the responsibility of their own learning. Next, please. So, very very important part now is about in my presentation is about metacognition. So, when we talk about metacognition, again, I would request the participants to just share what is their understanding on metacognition without looking at the definition. If I ask you in a layman language, that what do you understand by metacognition? What are the thoughts that come to your mind when we are using this word metacognition? Anybody, if wants to share? Thinking about thinking. Okay. So, when we are talking about metacognition, it is thank you, regulating one's thought process, being aware of our own thoughts beyond understanding. So, it is also meant that we are. Uh, it is the process where we are able to uh, plan, we are able to monitor, we are able to assess our own understanding and performance about how we are learning. What are our strengths in learning? What are our weaknesses in learning? So that is very very important. So when we talk about metacognition here, reflective practices plays a very important role. So you are critically very very aware of your strengths, of your weaknesses, and then when you are critically aware of your strengths and weaknesses, you are able to judge your students also, you are able to know your students also. And then we have you have assessments, you have reflection, then you have activities. So in the classroom, when you have jump start activities, wherein you can just say that, okay, quickly students, tell me, what do you understand, what do you want to learn about today, what are we going to talk about today, what are your expectations from this session? Or when you are making them in a group, they are doing a think pair share activity, they are doing a lot of activities, they are doing a lot of group discussions. So you are actually enhancing your students critical thinking skills. Next slide, please. So there are different phases of metacognition, and any good leader, any good educator will be using that. So you plan, you monitor, and you evaluate. So you are there to plan, monitor, and evaluate. Next slide, please. So whenever you are doing any task, so you should be thinking that what you should do before, during, after, and you plan the whole activity, you plan the whole concepts in the same manner. Next slide, please. Then we spoke about creativity, so I will not go deeper into that. So making and creativity is very very important aspect of 21st century skills. Next slide, please. Critical thinking, we have spoken about that, and we have said that students take the active role of their education. They are given time to learn at their own pace. They are our students, this is either it is Gen Z or alpha generation. They are highly metacognitive, and they have high order thinking skills, so they have lots and lots of questions, and then they talk about this in the classrooms, and they discuss. And as teachers, now we cannot shy away from our responsibilities, saying that this is not in your course, or so we or why are you asking the question. So we have to find the answers together. Next slide, please. So, as I spoke about, very, very important for any good leader to be having a growth, rather exponential mindset now, so that the complacency inertia does not set in. So, once we have this aspect in our mind that we have done enough, we know the things, and so we are kind of, we have a fixed mindset where we are not open to the learning. But when we have a growth mindset, rather, the new terminology is exponential mindset. So we will be taking failures as challenges or as an opportunity to grow. We will want to learn new things anytime. We will want to change. We will be adaptable. We will be very, very flexible in our approach, in our thoughts. So we need to have this to have the good education leaders. Next, please. So, when the students take responsibility of their own learning, so it is called pedagogy, and that is very, very important part and aspect of our aesthetics in education, our instructional leadership, our 21st century. So, we all have heard about the pedagogy. We all talk about pedagogy, which is content centric, which is used very often when we are talking about education. The other word which came into existence was called andragogy. So that means that students was the center of attraction. Student, it was a student centered learning, and teacher who used to be around the students, taking care of him, or being as a facilitator, being as a guide for the students. But the latest concept is of pedagogy, where they say that student will take responsibility of their own learning. When they are taking responsibility of their own learning, then that means that they have a full autonomy for their own learning. They are increasing their critical thinking, they are learning at their own pace, and they are self motivated about it. Next, please. So, this is the way the heterogogy is explained, that it is self determined, it is looking beyond our own experiences. Then it is, the teacher is a facilitator here, so they don't have to, and knowledge, the students choose what they want to learn themselves. Next. So, this is, I think, I will take a minute more, and then we will be opening to the questions. It is very, very important to all the leaders, to all the education leaders, any corporate leaders, to have a higher purpose in life. It is not only about us. It is not about knowing ourselves. It is not about self knowledge. It is about how we are able to make that exponential difference in the people who are associated with us, whether there are our teachers, whether they are our students. and we are in the profession of teaching, so it is always for others. It must serve the cause for the common good. And of course, the higher purpose is designing one's own life. First you are able to design your own life having the higher purpose, then you will be able to design the your students life. And the next slide. So, domain mastery is very, very important, wherein not only it contributes to the overall quality of the instruction, student engagement, academic success, and not only you have the subject proficiency, but you're also able to connect with the students, and with when you have the willingness to work and contribute. So, it means that with the domain mastery, you have design thinking, you have collaborative intelligence, and your learning approaches are of personalized learning. So now I am open to question and answer. So we have 4 minutes for the question and answer session. So if anybody wants to ask any questions, we will be happy to answer that. I think there are no questions. So thank you. No, we have a question. Yes, we can have philosophical studies. We have in Cambridge we have a subject called global perspectives. So that gives an aspect of a theoretical aspect of philosophy, also research based also, and students choose their own topics of research, enhancing their critical thinking. Okay, I have 2 minutes, so I'll answer to his question. Yes, there are specific assessment strategies and tools. So we do a lot of blend of formative assessment and summative assessments. So formative assessments can be again your quizzes, your role plays, your way to check how much you have. Been able to check the knowledge of the students if they have understood. So we have the smiley faces, sad face, or happy face to know if the students have understood. Then we have the traffic lights, green and red, to understand. And the summative assessments and the formative assessment, there is a blend of that, wherein they are able to understand the concepts and check that whether the assessment is for learning. Assessment is not for us to judge the students, it is for our own benefit.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Nimani, for sharing your insights on this topic. We really appreciate to having you in this session. So
Thank
looking
you.
forward to seeing you all in the next session. Thank you
Thank you.
very much.